P.D. Ouspensky, preeminent 20th century researcher of the occult and esoteric, and a disciple of the famous mystic and spiritual teacher George Gurdjieff, published in 1913 The Symbolism of the Tarot, Philosophy of Occultism in Pictures and Numbers, where he presents the tarot deck as the most complete code of Hermetic symbolism. A book of images that is on the one hand a bestower of concrete teachings, and on the other one of infinite possibilities. One that could just as easily be read forwards or backwards, ultimately empowering its wielder with every use to construct an entirely new world. Ouspensky traces the deck's official origins to late 14th century Southern Europe, where it became particularly famous as a fortune-telling device. At the same time, he claims that similar productions from the ancient lands of China, India, and Egypt allude to much more archaic origins. He recalls the unearthed remnants of ancient priestly initiations by evoking such works as the Egyptian hieroglyphic book of 78 tablets, an obvious allusion to the 78 cards of the tarot deck. In Ouspensky's system, these 78 cards are classified into sections and subsections, all boiled down into one symbol, that of the dot within the triangle within the square, symbolizing the human soul within the Godhead within the physical world. At the center, the human soul is represented by the Fool, the card of the major arcana numbered 0. Surrounding the soul is the Godhead, represented by the 21 remaining cards of the major arcana. 21 cards divided into 3 sets of 7, one set for every side of the triangle. The first set stands for the different degrees within man. The second set stands for the different degrees within nature. And the third set stands for the different degrees of higher knowledge. On the outer periphery of this symbol is the world of the physical, which is represented by the 56 cards of the minor arcana. These are divided into 4 suits of 14 cards, one suit for every side of the square. The suit of wands, or as seen in the modern playing deck, the clubs, is related to the element of fire, and to the spirit class of salamanders. The suit of cups, or hearts, is related to the element of water, and to the spirit class of undines. The suit of swords, or spades, is related to the element of air, and to the spirit class of sylphs. And finally, the suit of pentacles, or diamonds, is related to the element of earth, and to the spirit class of gnomes. Out of these 4 suits, 2 of them, the so-called black suits, are considered to be active, while the 2 red suits are passive. Within every suit, those same active and passive energies alternate, this time between odd and even numbers. The odd numbers, 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9 are active, and the even numbers, 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10 are passive. The court cards also equally share these alternating energies, the page and queen being passive, and the knight and king active. Altogether, the 56 cards of the minor arcana form a complete picture of all the possibilities of man's consciousness, though ultimately it's the major arcana that offers the keys to the deeper mysteries of the universe. In the last half of his work on the tarot, Ouspensky rearranges the 22 archetypes of the major arcana, this time not as a trinity, but as a continuous chronological loop, read forwards from 1 to 22 or backwards from 22 to 1. A configuration inspired by some of the initiation rites practiced within the ancient Egyptian mystery schools. It is said that one of these practices places 24 columns in 2 rows of 12 facing each other, which means that exactly 22 images can be placed between the columns in 2 rows of 11. Each image then becomes locked in a pair with another image, the first with the last, the second with the second to last, and the third with the third to last, and so on. In the ritual, initiates would be called to progress up the walkway, and with every new degree they would find themselves in the middle of 2 opposite yet complementary energies. Perhaps it was their very beings that were ultimately meant to represent the exact balance between the 2 extremes. The exact balance between the magician, who with his hands unites heaven and earth, in perfect control of the 4 elements that form the world, and the fool, whose pouch holds these 4 elements. Between the High Priestess, the inner temple of mystery, and the world, that which keeps the mystery hidden within the illusion of matter. Between the Empress, the Queen of Life, and Judgment, the one who completes life through death and resurrection. Between the Emperor, who holds the fiery word of the great law of four, and the Sun, the fiery word itself. Between the Chariot, who perceives through magic the material world, and the Moon, who perceives through magic the astral world. Between the Lovers, the duality that is life on earth, and the Star, the unity that resides in the heavenly realm. Between the Hierophant, representing the esoteric, and the Tower, representing the exoteric. Between Strength, the real and uniting power of infinite love, and the Devil, the false power of strife and separateness. Between the Hermit, who walks the path towards initiation into higher truth, and Temperance, the initiation itself. Between the Wheel of Fortune, the endless elemental cycle of time, and Death, the same endless cycle that now reveals its deeper mysteries. And finally, between Justice, the higher knowledge that is found within, and the Hangman, the higher knowledge bound by the limitations of body and mind, who represents the every man and woman here on earth. The every man and woman who through the process of suffering slowly find their way to higher truth.